Overseas this morning, we're tracking the latest in Niger after last week's military coup. West African leaders are calling now for the reinstatement of the country's democratically elected president, and they're threatening military force against the leaders of the coup. Ajak Mangout is live in Abuja, Nigeria. The vantage point for us this morning. Ajak, tell us more about this latest international reaction.
That's right, Heather. Like you said, international allies and even regional allies of Niger are increasingly calling for President Mohamed Bazoum to be reinstated as the president of the country. Yesterday, leaders of the West Africa bloc, that's the economic community of West Africa states, met here in Abuja to discuss the crisis in Niger. And they have given the military coup leaders 1 week to reinstate the president or face sanctions that include military force. They've also delegated the president of Chad, who is spearheading a mediation effort between the ECOWAS leaders and the military rulers in Niger to restore President Bazoum back to power. On the western side, we've seen the European Union and France, which is a former colonial power, cutting off monetary aid to Niger. They've cut off millions of dollars that the country needs in terms of humanitarian assistance and other developmental assistance in the country. But not much details have emerged from the meeting between the president of Chad and the military coup leaders in Niger. ECOWAS has also imposed other sanctions like closing of the borders with Niger. They've also blocked trade. They've frozen assets of the coup leaders and of Niger in ECOWAS institutions. They've also declared Niger as a no-fly zone. The U.S. has also threatened sanctions on Niger, and they've also said they would support any ECOWAS sanctions on the country. But experts have said, and even officials of the former leader, that's President Bazoum, have said that any sanctions imposed on the country would just have more effect on the civilians who, you know, there are millions of people in the country living in poverty, and they're saying that any sanctions would have more impact on the civilians rather than pressure the military leaders to restore power to President Bazoum.
And in terms of the leaders of the coup, then, how are they responding to these sanctions, to these latest moves and calls for further action, Ajak?
Well, the military leaders haven't said much in terms of the demands of ECOWAS, but they did warn that if ECOWAS, comes in with military force, they are going to react. They've said that they've warned ECOWAS against using military force, and they said they will protect Niger against any Western or regional interference in the country. They've also said that they would stop the export of uranium and gold to France as well. They've accused France of, imposing or planning a military intervention in the country. We've seen protests by the supporters of the coup, coming out and attacking the French embassy in the country, burning the flags and all that. But this has raised concerns that if sanctions are imposed on the country, then it could turn the military rulers towards Russia, as we've seen in the case with Mali and Burkina Faso, whose governments have been overthrown as well. And they've sort of leaned towards Russia as a strategic ally. They've also asked French troops and UN peacekeepers in the country to leave. But there are concerns that this would further complicate the fight against insurgency in the Sahel region.
Thank you so much, Ajak Mangout in Abuja, Nigeria, for us this morning on the Niger situation.